Hello, folks. This is Mary Buckham, and I opened the classroom a few minutes early so that people can get in, get comfortable. If you're in the live presentation here, there on the right-hand side of your screen is a chat bar, and feel free to just let me know that you're here. And maybe what type of story you're writing. You don't have to go into a lot of detail. I just want to know where in a bookshelf. It might be in a store bookshelf. It might be shelved. So mystery, light mystery, romance, paranormal romance, whatever it might be. Yay, there's Cindy. Contemporary Western romance. Thanks, Cindy. You know what you know what's going on here. And I have someone that I cannot read your name, and I apologize. Facebook has a process which, if you're the presenter and someone does not give permission, I cannot see your name. So in a minute or two, I'll get Tech Guy to give me his phone, and I can look on it on his phone. So we have contemporary romance with humor and romance and children's books. And Melissa's on board here. We've got romantic suspense. The great thing is that with all of these types of stories, you can add sexual tension, and you can control how much sexual tension you want on the page. So Melissa writes sci-fi and sci-fi romance, but I thought Riminak was a good thing. I think you've been working with the language of your alien characters there, but it's a great word. And we have, again, I'll can find out your names here in just a little bit when Tech Guy gets back with his phone so I can see on that. But we have someone from New Jersey, which is lovely. As usual, we'll be having writers from all over the world here. So it's an opportunity to network with other writers in the Facebook group, which is where you will post your homework assignments, and take the opportunity to connect up with other people writing the same genre, or to give feedback to other people, because everybody who will be doing the homework assignments will have that opportunity. And if someone gives you feedback on your homework and it doesn't track for you, just say thank you and leave it at that. Okay. So we have someone here from Idaho. I'm not sure if it's North Idaho or South Idaho. Jody from Palm Beach, Florida. Another person who is just a Facebook user saying hi, hello back. And Ariana's here from Southern California, who writes contemporary romance. And Jody, who's here from Winter Park, Florida. Jade from snowy Montreal. I owe you an email, Jade, and I just haven't gotten to it. My apologies. I will. I think about you, but I haven't perfected that. So we have South Boise, Idaho. Tech Guy is from Northern Idaho, so I always wonder, and it's a true story, that the surveyors for Idaho were supposed to go up one range of mountains. They had a little bit too much fun and got drunk, and they went up the wrong range. So that's why you have that shape to Idaho. We have another user from Cranberry, New Jersey, and Violet from Pennsylvania, writing women's fiction and suspense with a blush of romance. Love that description. We have someone here from snowy Minnesota. So I'll give folks about another minute to get in and get into the classroom. We have a lot of fun information today that can get you started writing right away with stronger sexual tension. So we have Kim from Philly writing historical, and Carol also from Pennsylvania. Tasha from Omaha writing contemporary romance. Tasha. Okay, I'm not confused. It's kind of like calling my kids all by wrong names. So Tasha is Trisha. So I'll call you Tasha if I can remember that. And Tasha, I'm going to use something that you said in an email to me when we get back to those who did the #0 assignment. We have someone, Mickey's here, who writes paranormal romance. And Kate from California writing contemporary romance. Louise from Denver writing historical romance and dystopian sci-fi. And there's Topaz. Lovely to see you from Florida. Hope your aunt is doing well. And okay, let's go ahead and get started here on what we're going to talk today, because this is probably one of the fuller days, and I want to make sure that those who are on a tight schedule can get out. If you miss something, don't worry. You can always listen to the replay, and the replay comes relatively quick after the live event. And there's Peyton writing contemporary romance. Okay, Peyton, I'm going to use something from your posting. Don't worry about the 0 assignment. Those who are already in the classroom would not get it because, apologies, you didn't, but you didn't. Don't worry about it. It's nothing big. Okay, let's look at, this is our first day of 5 days to those secrets of writing sexual tension. Today, we're going to discuss the 3 elements that must be present for sexual tension. If you only use 2 or only use 1 or don't use any of them, you're going to decrease to flatline any sexual tension you have on the page. Element 1 is the awareness or the attraction. We do not have to assume that there is going to be an immediate attraction of another person. We can just look at it as awareness. But it has to be specific awareness. And what I mean by that is not he was handsome, or she was beautiful, or he looked masculine, or she was feminine. Those are very broad, vague terms that don't give the reader enough. Specific awareness means not his blue eyes. Okay, there's a large chunk of the world that does have blue eyes, so that's not really saying anything specific that character is seeing of the other. Here's from Ilona Andrews. Now, this is not a romance. This is a paranormal mystery series. His eyes, smart and clear under the thick, dark eyebrows, evaluated everything he saw with calm precision. But deep inside those blue irises, a cold fire glowed. Now, can you tell here? It's a long sentence, but are this character specifically looking at something of the other character? Specific awareness means not she said, but Her voice, or his voice, turned vowels into liquid and smooth consonants. Okay, just a few more words that say, we're right there with the character, hearing this voice. And specific awareness means not he had broad shoulders, but his shoulders had that same tilt. Not exactly a pose, but an attitude. That's from Meg Gardinier, and this is a thriller. So the first thing you want to notice is, are you being specific in what you are showing your readers about the other character? And to be specific, you have to get into your point of view character in a deeper way to make sure that you're seeing that other from them, not from you as the writer. The second element is an emotional reaction to what the point of view character is seeing. How does he or she feel about what they are noticing? The emotional reaction deepens the intensity of what the point of view character is aware of by feeling a response to that awareness. So if they just notice something, that's the lowest level of attraction. I'm sorry about my not being able to talk, but I'll work harder at it and cough a lot. Here's an example, same story from the original, from Ilona Andrews. His eyes, smart and clear under the thick, dark eyebrows, evaluated everything he saw with calm precision. But deep inside those blue irises, a cold fire glowed. So that's the awareness. Then we go into the emotional reaction. The same kind of lethal fire you would see in the amber eyes of a tiger, predatory yet irresistible. So now we know that the point of view character has an emotional reaction to what she is viewing of the other character's eyes. That deepens the tension. Here we go with Nora Roberts. Her voice turned vowels into liquid and smoothed consonants. It never flattened, never twanged, but flowed like a leisurely stream. So this way, the person listening to her is hearing a specific, the sound of her voice, but is having an emotional response to what that voice sounded like to them. And the Meg Gardiner. His shoulders had that same tilt, not exactly a pose, but an attitude. That's what she's looking at. And already she's starting to give an emotional response there. A stance that said, yeah, right, prove it to me. I'm not buying your bullshit. Okay, now we get a much stronger sense of the emotional response to what the point of view character is seeing. Now, the third element, and have this tattooed on your arm, is conflict. Conflict is the reason a smart man or woman hesitates to act on his or her attraction. This is what creates that tension, that wanting but not wanting at the same time. Conflict is what creates that tension in sexual tension. Again, using the same examples. His eyes, smart and clear under the thick, dark eyebrows, evaluated everything he saw with calm precision, but deep inside those blue irises, a cold fire glowed, the same kind of lethal fire you would see in the amber eyes of a tiger, predatory yet irresistible. It compelled you to stare, even though you knew that if you caught his gaze, that icy fire in those eyes would swallow you whole. Since the eye-to-eye aspect of sexual tension happens very quickly in most stories. This is the second of 12 stages of intimacy. And there is a file in the Facebook group under files that has a list of the 12 stages of intimacy for you. But what you're paying attention to here is this is that conflict. You have a sense that this point of view character has a very good reason not to get involved with that particular individual. This is from the Nora Roberts example. Her voice was just as feminine, mused. It turned vowels into liquid and smooth consonants. It never flattened, never twanged, but flowed like a leisurely stream. The voice, he reflected, as his smile widened, was just as deceptive as the face. The lady was a sharp, ambitious reporter with a stubborn streak and a flaring temper. So this gives you an idea. These two people are working in a newspaper, and one is the daughter of the owner, and one is someone who has scrambled for everything he's earned. So you are going to build on this conflict here. In the third example from Meg Gardinier, his shoulders had that same tilt, not exactly a pose, but an attitude, a stance that said, yeah, right, prove it to me. I'm not buying your bullshit. But the smile, the fearless grin that had always taken the sting out of the attitude, that was missing. His sandy hair was short. He had lines around his eyes that hadn't been there 2 years earlier. The planes of his face, of his physique, seemed more sharply defined. He'd lost weight. Now, just in that paragraph, you have an idea that there is a past history between these two individuals. You get a visual of him from her. You get a sense of what she sees specifically. But in the conflict, you're getting what's missing, that this point of view character knew this character well enough to understand what was missing and what's been added in the 2 years since they've seen each other. So that's what I'll get you to your homework in just a moment. But I wanted to share, there was a #0 homework, but don't worry about it because it was simply those who are already in the classroom versus those that just signed up. It basically asked what you wanted from this course. And so I have a couple of postings that I wanted to share with you. How do you express sexual tension between two characters without explicitly saying so? We just did that in these 3 examples here. You look at what specifically are they seeing or feeling or touching. You get the emotional response to that, and then you bring up the conflict. That's what you do. You don't have to say, oh, I want him, but I can't have him. Poor me. That is telling the reader. You're showing the reader with what specifically you're looking at. You use your character's internalization, their dialogue, and their body language. Those are all ways that you can show how someone is responding to another person. Someone says, I write both contemporary and historical mystery novels. While there is some sexual attraction in my stories at times, I'm not sure how to weave it in without interrupting the mystery plot. Well, you download from the files section the 12 stages of intimacy. Stage 1, eye to body. Stage 2, eye to eye. Stage 3, voice to voice. Stage 4, hand to hand. Stage 5, hand to shoulder. Stage 6, hand to body or to waist. Stage 7, mouth to mouth. This is a kiss. So you're 7 stages out of 12, and you are just now getting to a kiss. 8, hand to hand. 9th stage, hand to body. 10th stage, mouth to breast. And if you are writing something like the historical or something that is, you don't want sex on the page, then you just skip the last 3 stages, but you can have the previous 9 stages. So 10th was mouth to breast, 11th is hand to genital, and 12th is genital to genital. So you are building in, you are not writing along, here's the mystery, and then stop and, oh, she sees him. No, it's natural to, she sees him, but just like in real life, as a relationship changes, as an awareness changes, becomes more intensified, you revisit these stages, because this is how you're letting the reader know that the conflict is growing, but also that awareness is growing. Peyton, you wrote a nice long email. 2 things. When people post emails to me directly, except for today, I cannot get to those emails without trying to get to everybody's emails in the group that I can. So if you post something to me directly, I may not be able to respond for days. Just want to let you know that. So, and the reason I do that is when I post feedback to somebody in the group, other people get to learn from it. But if I just review and post things to individuals who send me an email, no one else learns from it except the person. And as much as I want to help, there's only one of me. So don't be surprised if I'm not able to get back to you right away. But Peyton pointed out, if there's going to be some hot action, how do we hook some readers deeper into the story without repelling others? Okay, here's the honest truth. If you had a line, a continuum, and on the right side, it's hot, 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 and on the left side, it's sweet, no sex on the page. Writers can write anywhere between that continuum. Now, and readers will read anywhere in that continuum. There are some readers that will never want to read explicit sex and hot, 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 and lots of sex and lots of gymnastics and Kama Sutra, etc. They don't want that in the story. So they're going to pick up books on the left-hand side of that continuum. So the good news is you don't need all readers who are reading contemporary romance. You want those readers. You want to make your work stand out for those readers that are going to read to the far right and from the mid to the right. All right? It's important to be aware of that. We're not trying to reach every reader with our work. And if you do, someone picks up your book, but they're used to reading inspirational or sweet or something with a lot less sex on the page, you're going to get a review that says, oh, I couldn't read this book. I couldn't stand it. Well, you didn't do anything wrong, but they were not your readers. So by accepting that, don't try and work to get those readers there far to the left that want something much more sweet and gentle and the tension without the sex. Okay? This is another person posted, one of the things I'd like to be sure of is that sexual tension I'm writing isn't too cheesy or too overt while still hitting the mark. Okay, what happens, the examples I gave you today, if you get to the wide shoulders or like the Mississippi River at flood time, it goes over the top, all right, where it becomes melodrama. That's what creates that too overt. So look at writers that write the kind of sexual tension that you love and see how much they use in describing a specific aspect of the other, in giving an emotional response. You don't have to do that, oh my God, most gorgeous, the most beautiful, the most wonderful, the most sexy, the most sensual. You don't have to hit the reader over the head. None of those writers did that. And you can find the writers that you like because you know what to look for now. You know that when you get off and you can get into the Facebook group, you can find those 12 stages. Again, keeping in mind that the first 9 stages you can use again and again without ever having sex on the page. But you can revisit multiple times these stages throughout a novel. This question, should you continue using sexual attraction to the end of your book or after they've had sex? Absolutely. And this is because sex complicates a relationship. Good sex, bad sex, messy sex, unexpected sex, it's all part of there's going to be an emotional aftermath of that act. And it changes how the person is seeing the other. So this is where you get to revisit the sound of their voice after sex, the hesitancy to get eye-to-eye contact, the hand to waist, where one may feel like it's a claiming act, you're mine, and the other one may feel that act is holding them prisoner. All depend on that sex act. So absolutely, sex is not the end-all be-all to the book. Tasia, I wanted to read this because I thought it was so lovely. I want to be able to describe longing and desire in a way so that my characters can feel it from across the room. The type of sensuality that sizzles between two people who desperately want to touch, but can't for whatever reason. The type of tension that when it finally explodes on the page, not only the characters feel it, but the readers do as well. And I think this is probably one of the strongest and best ways to describe why we want sexual tension in our stories, regardless if we're writing thrillers or mysteries or sci-fi. The sexual tension is what brings that deepness, that richer experience to the reader. And you can do it. You can do it with the 12 stages. You can do it with the being aware, that specific awareness, that emotional response, and that conflict. What is keeping this couple apart? So this is doable. Now, we only have 5 days, so it may not be as doable as if you had more time and we explore it, but that's why I offer a month-long class. But I do want you to know that even if all you did was what we're talking about today, you're going to see an increase in the tension, the sexual tension on the page. Now, before we get into the assignment, which there will be one, keep in mind specific details, plus the emotional reaction from the point of view character, plus conflict. What is keeping that character from acting on their attraction or awareness? That is what creates tension. Now, our first assignment, then I'm going to open it up for questions, is see if in a current manuscript or work in progress that you have a paragraph where you have combined the 3 elements, specific detail, emotional reaction, and conflict into one paragraph. If you have to do some little bit of rewriting, go ahead. But one paragraph is the key to the assignment. Because if you can do it in that one paragraph, you can do it when you have more words. What I don't want you to do is post something that is a page long or 3 or 4 long paragraphs. All right? Because what happens then is you can get lost, and oftentimes you can insert or shift the reader's attention to something beyond the awareness, the emotional response, and the conflict focused on that sex and the wanting of it, but not going to have it. Now, when you post your assignments, each assignment will have a specific hashtag. And I made a boo-boo here. It says assignment H1, and it should say assignment EX. Try to put it in the post here. Okay, so it's going to say this is what you want to do. Hashtag, and capital E, capital X, numeric number 1. What's going to happen on the right side of our main page in our Facebook group, that's going to start putting all those assignments together in one place. So I can find them better to give feedback on. Other people can find them better to give feedback on. And they're not just clogging up the main page. Now, so use that EX1 for this particular assignment. And you can feel free to comment on one another's work. And I'll pick a number of the examples to use in tomorrow's question and answer session after the lecture. Something to be also aware of, it's posted in an email that's gone out or will go out to you today. It is Penny? What's the one? Q Chow? The hashtag for questions.
QChow, yeah.
Okay. All right. There's a hashtag if you have a general question, not about your specific story per se, but about, I don't know what you meant by specific, or if my story is a mystery, do I do the same thing type of thing? If you use the hashtag capital Q, capital C, capital H, capital A, capital L, Q Chal, then I can quickly answer. I answered questions first, then the homework assignment. Melissa wants to know, can I write this from scratch since my manuscript is currently being developed? Absolutely. Yeah, you can write it from scratch. You can write it from current other project that you're writing. You can, even if you don't have anything, if you have a book handy and you want to share something from another author, just be sure and give them credit as to who wrote that. And you want to make sure that you keep it tight as opposed to making it long. Okay. Sandra's mentioning here again with the honey. She thinks it's funny that I call tech guy honey. So questions about today's homework, questions about what we talk about today. We actually, we're 1 minute short of our half an hour, so we still have a little bit of time to go into any questions you might have. Nick, let's see. Oh, Claudia indicated she was late. If you get late to the live things, no problem. I'm not going to slap you. I'm not going to jump on you. I recommend that you can look at the replay to catch anything that might have been posted. Anita says, can you give more examples of what specific details to consider, especially since it shouldn't be physical attributes? No, I'm saying it should be physical attributes initially here. So I'm sorry that that wasn't clear. So what are you seeing? What is your character seeing about the other character specifically? What is your character? They could be in the voice to voice, so that could be how they hear the other voice. It can be hand to hand. That's the fourth stage of intimacy. So you can use any of these stages. So in the first, you are looking eye to body. In the second, you're looking eye to eye. In the third, you're looking voice to voice. So that's what you're looking at. It is physical attributes because that's what in real life we see about one another. Does that make sense, Anita? And I'm sorry that wasn't clear. Tricia asked, just a paragraph, no dialogue. Unless the dialogue reveals the conflict. Tricia, this is, if you get the 3 stages in without dialogue, that would be great. If you can't do it without dialogue, go ahead and put the dialogue in, but keep it short. Violet wants to repeat the assignment. So the assignment is, I'll go back and find it. The good news is you will be sent an email every day directly that will give that a repeat of the homework and let you know it's coming up in that day's class. So the assignment is see if you can find a paragraph in your manuscript or work in progress. And if you don't have either of those two, find it in a book that you read where you've combined the 3 elements: specific details that one character is seeing or feeling from the other, the emotional reaction to what they're seeing or feeling, and the conflict into one paragraph. Ariana wants to say, do we use the sexual tension every time the characters react? It all depends on what you're writing. The stronger sexual tension you want in your story, the more that you're going to use it so they see each other, and then it might be the second time they see each other, and then it might, after that, if nothing changes, you're not using it as much. But if something changes in the relationship, so you get to use this however much or however little you want, depending on the degree of sexual tension you want on the page. So pick up one of your favorite writers who uses sexual tension and just go through, it's not a cold read, so a book that you've already read. Maybe you want to go through and count how many times that character, main character, is seeing the other as the story progresses. Okay, let's see what somebody. Okay, Anna says, so we can use this formula to show how the heroine is not attracted to the villain. Absolutely. In fact, these 12 stages, well, the first 9 are often used by pedophiles and groomers. They understand that if they can make another comfortable with their hand to their head, their hand to their shoulder, we don't think that that's that challenging, but it is. So yes, villains do use these stages intentionally. Carol, I can't find where to locate files. On the home page on the Facebook group, Carol, at the very top of the page, there's some tabs. And one says media, that's where you find the replays. One says files, that's where you're going to find the documents. Okay, somebody's asking, Mary Burt, what is the hashtag for questions or comments? It is, I'll go ahead and post it again, Mary. There, Q Chow. So capital Q. Don't put periods, don't put spaces, because what happens then is it falls down. And there's a lot of people that are going to be posting in this week. So I don't want to lose your question if it's fallen down because you put a hashtag period, small q, small c, or something like that. So thanks for double checking and asking. And you can also start seeing where people are going to start using that, particularly those who've been in a recent challenge or a recent workshop with me. These are great, great questions, folks. So the only question that's not a good question is the one you don't ask because you don't want to feel silly or you assume that everybody else knows it. So any other questions here? Again, I will be checking in with on the Facebook page to give responses. I'll try and get to at least 20 people a day. And if I get to you on one day, I may not get to you the next day because I want to make sure by the end of the class, I can get to as many 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So there'll be 100 at least that I will be able to post. So if I skip over yours, don't take it personally. But this is why there's a lot of very experienced writers in this group. And sometimes we can learn how to write our own by helping others. Okay. Claudia wants this. Is this what you're asking for, Claudia? That this is the question that was asked was, how do you express sexual tension without explicitly saying so? You do it by internalization, how they think. They may be acting one way, but they're thinking a different way. By dialogue, but it's not just dialogue. It is the tone of the dialogue and the body language. And body language is that everything from someone stands too close to you, that you're aware of them more than if they are backed away a little bit until you're comfortable with them. So somebody who's 2, 3, 4 feet away, you're feeling more comfortable. You feel safer with that. But if you have somebody who steps up real close to you, then you're going to feel that you're going to be very aware of them. Sandra said, it's like having a critique group without having one. You learn from each other and from the Mary. Oh, I like that, the Mary. Can you see my head swelling here, Sandy? But yes, this is why it may feel a little bit awkward. And I'm not saying everybody has to respond to everybody's, but just giving a little bit, oh, I can see this. in this example, in this particular homework. And then what you may have 100 opportunities to see how other people, what they're stumbling over. So you're paying attention to it, or what they have that is making their paragraph work stronger than somebody else. And the thing is, we're just taking a paragraph out of context. We're not building up the story. We don't know what's going on in the story, etc. But by just a paragraph, if we can, as a reader, start feeling that little buzz, that little bit of awareness, that little bit of, ooh, I know what's going on here, then we're going to experience that on the page and for the readers who are reading our books. And again, there's a large section of this group that have been through this challenge before, so they know what they're looking for. There's dozens of actually multi-published, very good writers in the group. There's beginners. There's people who have 40, 50, 60 books out. So there's someone that can give feedback, or you can ask for feedback. And by doing that, you don't need feedback from me per se, because somebody else can see if it's there in the paragraph you're showing or not there. And that what they might be able to do, because this is exactly what I'm going to do, is I'm going to point out which of these elements might be missing from the paragraph that you chose. Might be, you think it's there, but it might not be there clear enough for a reader. Now, you can change the order of this. You can have the conflict first, the specific detail, and the emotional reaction. You don't have to do A, B, C every time. Peyton, if a male character has these feelings upon seeing a female character, will it seem predatory to a female reader? It depends on what that male character is seeing. Male characters are much more direct, just like males in real life. They have a tendency to think more in a very specific. So what you're going to do is might play up the conflict instead of the humma, 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 she's got big titties type of thing. You're writing for audiences, for female audiences as well as male. Females know when that someone looks at them and they look at their chest first, that person is not interested in them. So what you want to make sure that if you're writing a male character, and Peyton, this is a great question, is make sure that you're seeing something else. You're seeing their eyes, you're seeing their smile, you're seeing their tilt of their head, the intelligence in their expression. So don't, unless you want the male character to come across as smarmy, predatory, don't focus on things that are all about using the woman. Does that help a little bit? So Christine, I know you had a question there. So if I didn't get the rest. But just like Anna asked in her question, can you use these stages and the person have a negative emotional response or a specific detail, and it's described as if it is a little bit creepy or discomforting, or it's associated with someone else that they did not care and like for, that's going to let the reader know that that person is sending off certain vibes. It is not attraction of vibes at all. It's an awareness, but in a negative sense. Christine, if it's easier for you to post in our Facebook group the question, just use that hashtag QChow, and I'll make sure that I respond to you there. Okay, for the rest of the group, if I don't see any more questions coming through, we're going to call it for the day, and we will be back tomorrow with a new lecture on a new aspect that we want to make sure that you, and a new homework assignment. So post away in the Facebook group, give feedback to others if you can, and we move forward. Sandra says, it's like going for a job. The interviewers know in the first 12 seconds if they'll give you the job. The same with sex. Absolutely. I wouldn't have thought of that, but it's absolutely true. Okay, so appreciate your being here. And again, trying to keep things tight so that you're not overwhelmed, or that you can, if you're on a lunch break, that you can, or a dinner break, depending on what part of the world you're from. So I'll see you in the classroom, and thanks for showing up here. Take care. Bye.